Hi guys, I'm back for another chapter of Piecing Me Together by Renee Watson. We're going to pick up on chapter 41. It's called Familia, which means family. I haven't spent time with Maxine since the outing to the symphony. She's called a lot, but I usually make an excuse and say how busy I am and that I can't talk. But she was determined to hang out today, so she invited me to her family's Sunday dinner. It's a tradition in my family to eat dinner together on the first Sunday of the month, Maxine tells me. We call it Soul Food Sunday. I am surprised when Maxine says this. She doesn't seem like the type of person who knows anything about soul food. I'm in charge of dessert, Maxine says. She studies the cakes inside the glass case. We're at some fancy bakery in the Pearl District, browsing through cakes, scones, and cookies. What looks good to you? Everything, I tell her. She laughs. Well, this is pastry heaven. I get myself in trouble when I come here on Fridays. Everything's half off on Fridays. The baker behind the counter has just finished decorating a cake. She sculpted it to look like a dollhouse. I doubt the little girl is being made. I doubt that the little girl this is being made for will even want to cut into it. It looks so real. Too real to eat. Maxine waves over one of the men behind the counter. Can I get a dozen of these? She points to the lemon marionberry scones. Then she looks at me and says, now you pick something, a cake. Which one should we get? She hands me the cake list. I look it over. Sacher Torte, pink champagne, creme de menthe, chocolate ganache. I go with the one that has chocolate in the name. You can't go wrong with chocolate. Good choice, Maxine says. My dad loves chocolate ganache. You've won him over without even trying. Maxine pays for the cakes and scones, and we leave the bakery. I can tell we're entering the rich part of Portland. We're driving up a winding road that's got us so high my ears are popping. The road is secluded by tall trees tickling the sky. We come to a stop sign, and it feels like we might slide back down the hill. The car is at an angle, and I feel like I'm on a carnival ride that got stuck. Maxine looks both ways and begins to drive again. Then she says, look to your left. I turn my head and see the city of Portland below, Mount Hood in the distance. Maxine makes a right turn onto a steep hill, leading us down into a cul-de-sac of houses. Wait, not houses, mansions. I've seen places like this before, like when I watch those shows that give an inside look at celebrity homes, but I've never been inside one. We're here, Maxine says. She pulls up to a house that has 3 garage doors and a balcony that wraps around the front of the house. The yard looks fake, too plush and green to be real. A woman who looks just like Maxine is standing at the door. When we get out of the car, she calls out, Max! That's my sister Mia, Maxine tells me. They hug and we go inside. It takes only seconds before Maxine's family is surrounding us, hugging us, and welcoming me. Maxine introduces me to everyone. Maxine's brother, Nathan, and his wife, Abby, and Mr. and Mrs. Winters, Maxine's parents. Nathan takes the cake out of my hand. It's clearly in a box that's labeled the cake shop, but still he looks at his sister and says, oh no, you didn't bake this, did you, Max? Maxine hits him. Not in front of company, please, she says. He laughs, looks at me, and whispers, at the last dinner, she burned boiling water. Burned boiling water. I try not to laugh too hard, but I can't help it. Abby takes my jacket. Maxine lets me know that her mom prefers for people to take off their shoes. I take them off and add them to the row of shoes lined up against the wall. Everything in the house seems to have a place. No piles or messes. The walls look like curated museum exhibits. Maxine notices me looking at the art. My mom loves collecting black art. It's all through the house. That's where Mia gets it from. Maxine calls out to her sister, Mia, what's the name of the artist again? This artist? The collection in the foyer? Mia yells, Jacob Lawrence. Right, Maxine says. We walk into the kitchen. Mia and Abby are putting food on serving dishes. I ask them if they need help with anything, but Mia insists that since I'm a guest, I should make myself comfortable. I sit down on the small sofa, yes, a sofa in the kitchen, that's how big this place is, and watch the siblings orbit around another, going back and forth between the stove, the fridge, and the cabinets. Mia says to me, "So tell us about yourself, Jade. You're an artist, right? I'd love to have you stop by my gallery." "Thanks, I'd like that," I say. Maxine says, "Yeah, I keep meaning to take you by there. I think you'll like it. And Mia, you'll love Jade's work." Mia and Abby switch off with the questions, "What grade are you in? Any siblings? Do you like St. Francis? What do you want to do after high school?" Maxine interjects, "Don't bombard my mentee with questions," she says. "I've already told you Jade is an artist and she's also a scholar." Maxine brags about me, telling them she's so focused. I just know she's going to be a successful woman one day. Mia arranges crackers and cheese on a tray. She cuts the slices of cheese carefully. "And so you live in North Portland, right? Man, that's dedication. How early do you get up to get to school?" "I get up at..." "It's not that bad, is it, Jade?" Maxine asks. "You get up at, what, 6 o'clock? "Are you going to let the girl speak?" Nathan says. I was thinking the same thing. Maxine is acting like she's afraid that if I open my mouth, I'll say the wrong thing and embarrass her or something. She seems nervous. I still don't get a word in because Mia says, "Well, I'll stop putting Jade on the spot. Let's talk about what our plans are going to be for the summer vacation." I know it's a ways away, but we should start narrowing down a place, she says. She walks the tray into the dining room and sets it on a long table against the wall. The space is open, and even though she is in the dining room, I see her and the living room and even the staircase that must lead to the bedrooms all at once. "I'm still on a high from our winter vacation," Abby says. "Sun Mountain Lodge was magnificent. Let's go there again." Abby is rinsing spinach so she can make the salad. "I don't know," Mia says. "I was thinking we'd go someplace tropical. Sun Mountain Lodge wouldn't be as fun without all the snow. The cross-country skiing was the best part." Abby adds, "Let's not forget about the spa where we got the body and face treatment." I didn't want to leave. She places the spinach in the bowl and adds dried cranberries, goat cheese, and walnuts. Nathan takes a piece of cheese out of the bowl. Abby slaps his hand. He takes another and says, "What about doing Victoria this summer?" "Or Northern California," Mia says. The four of them move around, setting the table, making the final preparations to the food. They never decide on a place. I wonder what it would be like to go on a family vacation. Mom and I have never traveled anywhere together. One day I'm going to take her somewhere far from Oregon, someplace you have to get to on a plane. Mr. and Mrs. Winters come back downstairs and we all go into the dining room. The food on the table looks so elegant, like a feast for a royal family. But it's really just baked macaroni and cheese, greens, candied yams, and oxtails with white rice. I wonder how it tastes. Wonder if anything that looks this fancy can still taste how soul food is supposed to taste. I sit down, Maxine behind me. She takes the folded linen napkin off her plate and drapes it on her lap, telling me with her eyes to do the same. So I do. After Mr. Winter prays over the food, I take the fork closest to my plate and begin to eat. Maxine gently taps me on my leg and whispers, "Wrong fork. Use the one farthest from the plate and work your way in throughout dinner." I already have salad dressing on my fork, and I know better than to lick it off and place the fork back on the table, so I just freeze. "It's okay," Nathan says. He picks up the wrong fork too and starts eating. He winks at me and I keep eating. But for the rest of the dinner, I am careful to watch what Maxine does. The first bite of food is so good, I almost moan out loud. That's what we do at my house. The first 5 minutes is me and EJ moaning and telling Mom, oh my goodness, this is so good, and yes, yes. But I get the feeling that that's not what Maxine's family does. Once we're good into the meal, Mrs. Winters says, so let's do our check-ins. She turns to her husband. Nothing new around here, he says. I sold the house in Laurelhurst. The room echoes with congratulations. Mia is next. She finishes swallowing her food, takes a sip of her wine, and then says, work is amazing. I just put up a show of local emerging artists. We're getting lots of foot traffic. Mia takes another sip of her drink. Tim and I are doing well. He sends his love. He really wanted to be here, but he's on call tonight and had to go in. When she says this, Maxine whispers to me, her husband is a doctor. Mia tosses a look to Nathan, who is sitting next to her. And you? All is well at the firm, Nathan says. Work is work, same thing, different day. He puts his arm around his wife. I'll let Abby tell you our real news. Mrs. Winters puts her fork down. I knew it, Abby chuckles. We don't know the sex yet. The sonogram is next week, she says. Mrs. Winters gets out of her seat and hugs Abby, squeezing her tight. Mr. Winters pats Nathan on his back. Congratulations, son. My boy, a father. He shakes his head. I look at Maxine, who is the only one not smiling. She rakes her yams from one side of the plate to the other, never taking a bite. Once she sees me staring at her, she snaps out of it, smiles, and gets up to hug Abby. I can't believe I'm going to be an auntie, she says. I'm going to be the baby's favorite, just saying. Everyone is so excited about Nathan's announcement that the family check-ins stop, and all Mrs. Winters can do is make plans for the baby shower. No one asks Maxine if she has any news. I can tell Maxine is hurt by this. Because when Mia says, we should paint a mural in the baby's nursery, that would be so much fun, wouldn't it, Maxine? Maxine says, yeah, sure, that would be awesome. But her voice is flat with no emotion. Mrs. Winters brings out dessert. I am still eating, but I notice that everyone else has left a little bit on their plates, so I do too. In my house, there is no wasting food. Not one morsel of it. But here, I think it's some way of showing you didn't eat too much and that you are saving room for dessert. Everyone gawks over how beautiful the cake is. Jade picked it, Maxine says. Mr. Winters looks at me. Great choice, he says. We eat dessert. The best cake I've ever had. And then Mrs. Winters pushes her chair back from the table. Jade, honey, would you please rescue my family from these calories and take some of this food home? Oh, that's okay. No, I don't want to take your... I insist, she says. She smiles and gets up from the table and goes into the kitchen. Come. I follow her. Mrs. Winters makes 5 Tupperware containers for me. And there's food wrapped in foil and a bottle of sparkling cider. She places the food in a canvas tote bag. Then she cuts a few slices of cake. My husband will finish this off tonight if you don't take some, she says. She wraps the slices of cake individually. Maxine comes into the kitchen. She sees the stuffed bag and says, Mom, there are only 3 people who live there. I think that's good. Well, this way they can have seconds, Mrs. Winters says. Would you like me to make you a to-go plate too, Max? She says this with less generosity in her voice. No, thank you. You sure? I'm only trying to help, not like you're working or anything. Mom, I said no, thank you. I walk over to the sofa and sit down. I know it isn't like I can't still hear them, but for some reason it feels better to be over here instead of in the middle of them. Well, honey, now don't get upset. You know I worry about you. It's very nice what you're doing with Jade, she says. Maxine whispers. kind of. Her voice is low, but I am close enough that I can still hear her. Mom, it's not just nice what I'm doing with Jade. Woman to Woman is making a difference in her life. I was hoping that by bringing her here, you'd see I am doing something that matters. Then she lowers her voice even more and walks farther away from me. I can't hear what she says, but Mrs. Winter's voice is loud and clear. I don't care about her sob story, Max. I understand the program is important to you, but you need a real job. Your father and I can't keep... Nathan walks in carrying a handful of dishes. He rakes the remnants of dinner into the trash and hands the plates to Abby so she can load the dishwasher. Maxine and Mrs. Winters stop talking, and I am so glad. I don't want to hear any more about Mrs. Winters' resentment toward her daughter for being my mentor. I want to leave. Just want to go back to my mother and eat the food at her table that has no rules about the way to use forks and napkins. Want to go where I don't have to pretend I'm not hungry, where I can eat all that's on my plate and not feel greedy. I do not want to be Maxine's experiment, charity case, or rebellious backlash against her mother. I do not want her to feel she has to coach me on what to say. We say goodbye to everyone and leave. Maxine and I ride down the hill. The sky is dark now and the road is slick with rain. The side-to-side rhythm of the windshield wipers fills the silence. In the dark, these majestic houses feel creepy, hidden away in all the trees and tucked behind alcoves. When we get to the bottom of the hill, Maxine says, I'm not sure what you heard. Please don't. Just, let's not talk. Please take me home. I don't want an explanation or an apology. That feeling comes again, tightness in my chest, tears in my eyes. My mouth on lockdown, no words coming out. But they are there, and I feel them rising. Chapter 42, Saber, maybe Saber, it means to know. Mom knows the food in the fridge is from Maxine's mom. The ticket stub from Portland Art Museum and the program from the Artist Repertory Theater are both outings Woman to Woman arranged. Mom knows. She is sleeping to work and working to eat and working and working and working. And Mom knows that when she asks me, how was your day? And I say it was fine, that I am leaving out the details to spare her from hearing how the village is raising her child. So, things are going well with this mentoring thing, huh? Mom presses. And to think you didn't even want to give Maxine a chance. Mom eats another forkful of Mrs. Winter's food. Now you're with her all the time. Just loving it, huh? I wouldn't say I love it, I tell her. I'm actually thinking about quitting. Mom puts her fork down. What happened? Nothing. Jade, nothing happened, but you want to quit? Come on now. I'm serious. Nothing happened. Nothing's happened. That's the problem. I don't know. I feel like half of the time I'm Maxine's charity case. That's it? That's why you want to quit? She asks. Look, Jade, you are not quitting the program. Who do you think is going to pay for you to go to college? Not me. No matter how much I save. Not your daddy. Mom, I can find another way to get a scholarship, I tell her. I have good grades and I'm sure I'll get a decent SAT score. This isn't only about a scholarship. It isn't, I say. Don't get smart with me. First of all, I didn't raise you to be a person who walks away from commitments. Someone else could have taken your spot. Second of all, not every girl has a young woman like Maxine to look up to. You need to learn that burning bridges always has a consequence. But I don't look up to Maxine, I tell her. She's using me to feel better about herself. And her mother gave us all this food because she feels sorry for us. And that's how you act when you have money. If that's how you act, I'd rather stay poor. Poor. I actually said the word out loud to my mom about us. That's a foolish thing to say, Jade. Mom gets up and walks to her bedroom. A very foolish thing to say. When Mom comes back to the kitchen, she is carrying a jar of coins, a big jar, like maybe she bought something at Costco and saved the container. You want this to be your life, Jade? Mom sets the jar in the middle of the table. You want to grow up and have children and only have this to leave behind as an inheritance? Mom is talking to me in her "I'm so mad at you, I can't even yell at you" voice. I really wish she would just yell at me. Now, let me be clear. Having money doesn't make you successful. I know that. And I'm not saying Maxine is perfect, but I am saying that even imperfect people have things to teach you. Mom says, "You're too smart to be acting so stupid, Jade. You see how hard I'm working, trying to save every extra penny I get so you can have some kind of life, and you just going to throw away an opportunity that'll get you into college?" So what? Maxine isn't perfect. This girl graduated from St. Francis as valedictorian. She learned how to navigate this white world, and she is trying to show you how to do the same. You telling me she has nothing to teach you? You better learn how to get from this opportunity what you can and let the rest fall off your back, Mom says. You understand what I'm saying, Jade? I sit still and listen. I know better than to talk back and start an argument. You better figure out a way to stay in this program and finish strong. You hear me? Figure it out. Chapter 43. Tener dolor, to have pain. Today we learn words that pertain to going to the doctor. Mr. Flores is always teaching about one kind of thing while I'm thinking about another. No me siento bien. I don't feel well. Tengo dolor. I have pain. Me duele aquí. It hurts here. Chapter 44, hablar, which means to speak. I missed the next 2 outings with Maxine. I lied and told her I had too much homework, so Mom wouldn't let me go. I lied and told Mom the outings were canceled. I don't even miss them. I mean, I miss the free food and I miss going places I probably would have never gone to on my own. But I don't miss the lectures about how to eat and how not to be who I am. I am lying in my bed thinking about all this and looking around my room at the walls, at the ceiling. There's a crack in the wall I've never noticed until now, and a spider is building her web in the corner of the ceiling. The wind is blowing and beating against my window. The rattling sounds like a nervous drum. The rain sounds like a million hands clapping in a stadium. Every now and then a car passes, speeding down the street on its way to somewhere. I hear the pipes moan when EJ turns on the water in the kitchen. I hear the doorbell ring. Then his footsteps into the living room. Then Lily's voice. Before I can sit up, she is knocking on my door. "Come in," I tell her. I don't care that I am not dressed, that my hair is pulled back in a sloppy bun. When Lily comes in, the first thing she says is, "What's the matter with you?" She sits on the foot of my bed and stares me down with her "you better not lie to me" look. "Nothing," I tell her, tired. "Why does your mom think I need to talk to you?" "Are you serious? She sent you over here?" "No, I was already on my way. We passed each other while she was going to work. She said maybe I can talk some sense into you, but didn't give me details. So what's going on?" "Nothing, Jade. I'm thinking about quitting Woman to Woman." "But don't you get a scholarship for being in that program?" I sigh. I'm so tired about talking about it. "Well, you haven't talked about it with me," Lily says. I don't say anything. "Look, I don't know what's going on with you, but I know you are too smart to give up on yourself." "I'm not giving up on myself." "Yes, you are. Whatever happened, it's not worth quitting. Who loses if you quit the program?" "Not Maxine." You do. You're the one who will be trying to figure out how to pay back a school loan. But you don't understand, I tell Lily. I don't want to go to all these expensive restaurants and be reminded that my family can't afford to eat in them. I don't want to be taken all over the city of Portland just so I can see how everyone else lives in bigger and better houses and neighborhoods. I wanted to be in Woman to Woman because I thought I'd actually learn something about being a woman and how to be a successful woman. So far, all I've learned is how to make sure there are low-fat, vegan-friendly snacks at girl talk sessions. It's got me thinking, is that all mentorship is? Taking someone younger than you to places that they can't afford? By the look on Lily's face, she doesn't think any of these are good reasons to quit. I even tell her how sometimes Maxine makes me feel like I am better than my friends at Northside, better than Lily. I add that part to get her on my side. But instead, Lily says, you need to talk to whoever is in charge. Have you said anything to anyone? I don't answer. They can't read your mind. I mean, I get what you're saying. Some of the stuff is a little corny and a lot of it is offensive, but I don't know. What's the better option? Stay silent, leave the program, and they never have a chance to do better? But I could speak up and they could dismiss me. I mean, I doubt they'll take me seriously. They'll probably just make excuses, I tell her. And I shouldn't have to tell grown people how to act. This is their program. It's their program, but it's for you, she says. If you speak up and they dismiss you, that's on them. But if you stay quiet and just quit, well, all right, I'll think about it, I tell Lily. I don't know why I never considered it before. Here I am, so focused on learning to speak another language, and I barely use the words I already know. I need to speak up for myself, for what I need, for what I want. Like most times, Lily is right. I love and hate that about her. One more chapter. Chapter 45. La Verdad, which is the truth. The next day, I call Maxine and ask if we can get together. She says yes right away, and we make plans for Saturday afternoon. When she gets to my house, she steps inside and brings the cold in with her. Jade, Maxine reaches out to hug me. I missed you. Her hug is tight and long. It is so good to see you. She holds on to me as if to say, I'm sorry for hurting you. As if to say, I'm not going to stop calling or coming by. I'm committed to you. Ready? She asks. Ready. We get into her car. It's beginning to sprinkle, so Maxine turns the wipers on the lowest speed and I watch the water disappear and come back again. Sabrina is always telling us girls that we need to work on making eye contact with people, that people want to know we're telling the truth and that we're confident and sure of ourselves. But I feel more confident when I'm looking at the floor or my shoes or far away at the rain clouds. I know I don't have a choice, so like my mom and Lily keep telling me, I start speaking. I'm sorry I've been flaking on you. Do you want to tell me what's going on? I want something more from Woman to Woman, I tell her. I don't want to sound ungrateful. I mean, I do like going on all those trips, but sometimes you make me feel like you've come to fix me only. I don't feel broken. Not until I'm around you. Maxine doesn't say anything. She keeps driving, keeps listening. I feel like Woman to Woman takes us to all these places outside of our neighborhood as if the places in our neighborhood aren't good enough. I pause to see if she's going to say anything. She doesn't. So I keep going. I say it all. When you invited me over to have dinner with your family, I thought that was nice of you. I thought you wanted to spend time with me and get to know me and that you cared about me enough to meet your family. But it felt like you just wanted to use me to get to your mom and prove some kind of point to her, like you were showing off. You didn't even let me speak for myself. I get so confused because some of the time you act like you're proud of me, and the other times you act like you're ashamed. Maxine pulls into a parking lot of McMenamin's on 33rd. She takes her seatbelt off, but we don't get out right away. Jade, I'm sorry. I feel horrible that you've been holding on to all this, Maxine says. I've got a lot of learning to do. I'm so sorry I hurt you in the process. Maxine sounds like she is about to cry, but the tears don't fall. I don't pity you, Jade, not at all. I don't pity your friends. And you're right, I shouldn't be speaking for you, ever. Sometimes I overcompensate, I think. I want to make sure you are comfortable, that you don't feel on the spot. And while I am proud of you, and maybe I brag a bit, make sure people know that you are not the statistic they may be assuming you are. But yeah, you have a mouth and you can say all these things yourself. This conversation isn't as intense as I thought it would be. Maxine asks, so what are some things woman to woman can do better? I take my seatbelt off. Well, I'd like to learn about real life things. I mean, like, how to create a budget and balance a checkbook so I'll know how much money I can spend and how much to put aside so the lights don't get turned off, I tell her. Stuff like that. I do like a lot about the program. I'm not saying we should stop these outings, but it just seems like we could do more. Jade, I don't feel that you're unappreciative. I think you're right. We could do better, Maxine says. Any other ideas you have? I've been thinking, what if we do a visit to your sister's gallery? Maybe she can talk about how she started her own business. Let's talk to Sabrina. I'm sure she'll think that that's a great idea. Maxine reaches to the back seat and grabs her purse. Before she opens the door, she asks, anything else you want to talk about? I didn't think I would say it, but when I open my mouth, John comes out. It's kind of hard to believe you care about me when you're always standing me up for him, I tell her. Maxine sighs a low, slow, deep breath. You're right, she says. She opens the door. Let's talk about him over dinner. And that's where we will stop for today. We ended at chapter 5. I think we started at chapter 41. Yeah. So that's chapter 41 through chapter 45 of Renee Watson's Piecing Me Together.